Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting session of the Get On Point series. And today, joining me as usual is Steven from Onpoint.
Hello, hi.
Hi, Steve. Thanks for joining us. We've done our due diligence when it comes to dimensions. We want to go back to the basics today. We want to understand chart of accounts and wanted to help us just give our viewers, especially accountants that are joining us and other non-accountants, let them know the basic when it comes to setting up business, etc.
So we tend to be worried and to focus on all our energy on the chart of accounts when we start up in the first stages of business central setup. However, then sort of we tend to forget about the key principles of a properly maintained chart of accounts, and we end up having like a huge list of chart of accounts at times not matching and all of that. And so this is not just about accounting. In accounting terms, a chart of accounts for in business center will always be correct. So the double entry will always be matching. But considering that we are using business center, so we are using like a really good system, having this having this mentality is not enough. So we really need to put all our energy in ensuring that, for example, that we have the proper categorization and the proper setups in our chart of accounts.
Okay. Yeah. Actually, you've broken it down to the essential. It has to do with the basic. But I want to know when it comes to chart of accounts, you know their categorization. So we want to know these categorizations, are they really important? And if they are, what's the key need and importance of this?
So let's start off. When we mention categorization, we're actually referring to the begin totals and then totals. Actually, let me share my screen. So over here we have Kronos. It's a company that we all know about, and we have the chart of accounts over here. Um, how do I know at a first glance whether the chart of accounts is actually correct or not? If I go to balance button, chart of accounts overview, I immediately have a nice chart of accounts overview. And what is nice? Nice is when all my schedule, all my accounts are nicely categorized according to their nature. So, for example, in my statement of financial position, I have my assets, my liabilities, my equity and reserves. If I go to the assets, then I have non-current assets and current assets. In the non-current assets, I have then got tangible and intangible investments. And in my tangible current assets, then I have a further breakdown of leasing projects, supermotor vehicles, improvement to buildings, so on and so forth. So this is what I deem to be a properly categorized chart of accounts, where it's not just about the chart of accounts itself. It's not just about having a list of accounts which match. That is important, but it's more than that. It's about having a nice, properly categorized chart of accounts. May I remind everyone that this all comes about when we set up our nominal account. And when we define our nominal account, we need to make sure that we properly define the posting. So the postings are the accounts where we're actually posting our day-to-day transactions. And then we have got the begin totals and end totals, which ultimately make up our chart of accounts and our grouping. One important note is that over here, we also have the indent function, which allows us to ultimately to indent any account in the system according to this categorization. So over here we're seeing nice indentation, and more importantly, over here in the end total we have the totaling field, which actually which defines the grouping and which ultimately sums up the amounts.
Yeah, well said. Well said. Yeah, it's actually a very, very integral functionality of Business Central. But we also like to know, how does this affect us? Not just really affect us, but also help us, not just as accountants, but also as a business.
Yeah, maybe more important than just the accountant is also like the other non-accounting people. Let's bear in mind the business center is not just for the finance team, but it's all for the whole group. And when you have such a nicely set up chart of accounts, you're allowed to produce reports based upon this grouping without providing unnecessary details. So, whilst for the accountant and the finance person, they are actually interested in every specific nominal account, usually, very, very frequently, actually, the management and other people using the financial reports, they are not really concerned with the individual accounts, but more about understanding the situation of the company. So perhaps like reviewing 200, 300 GL accounts is not really like the best idea. It's more about ensuring that, for example, understanding how much assets we have, how much liabilities we have, therefore making those that comparison. And in order to do comparison between the liabilities and the assets and the equity, you don't really need to have like the full breakdown of every GL account. Likewise, for the revenue, for our cost of sales, other income, too many times we don't need the full breakdown, but just the information pertaining to that group of accounts.
Yeah, thanks for that response. We've actually seen that this is not just for just accountants, but Business
Exactly.
Central tends to integrate other core departmental personnel and functions. So we'd like to know, because I know that so many people have been asking, oh, they want to see how posting is done on Business Central. They want to see so many other stuff on Business Central. But we know that as time goes on, as we keep up with the momentum and the more episode comes out, we'll handle some of all these other topics. So we want to know, is there any other recommendation for us?
Yes, there is another kind of categorization which we haven't delved into now, but we will delve into like in the next session, which is the GL account categories. This is also very interesting because this is not just the grouping or sort of the limitation based upon the account numbers, but it is allows us to have like a proper, fully fledged account categorization, which may or may not be linked to our chart of accounts numbering. And also, may I remind everyone that it is crucial, very, very important, because we need to make sure that we have the right setups, that in Business Central, we properly set up whether it's an income or a balance sheet account. This is truly very important for us to actually make sure that they are properly set up and properly configured.
That's nice. Well noted. So our viewers, you can see this is not the end. That we still have another episode coming out that we exploring the general ledger categorization, and from there we're taking things step by step. So you can also watch us on YouTube. This session is always recorded. You can meet us on YouTube. You can watch us on LinkedIn. You can also follow us on Instagram also, and then we can have a recap. If you have any other suggestion or request, you can send it across to us. We thank you for watching us today, and we hope to see you in the next episode.
Thank you.
All right, bye.